What's up, everybody? Today I am reviewing R.L. Stine's The Nightmare Hour. Now, as you probably noticed, the title of this book is actually Horror Hour, but that's because this is a bind-up of two collections of short stories by R.L. Stine, the first of which is called The Nightmare Hour. I've only read this first collection so far, the first half of the book, and sometime in the near future I will read and review The Haunting Hour, which is the second book. So yeah, today we're just going to be talking about the Nightmare Hour. So this collection consists of 10 short stories, averaging from between about 8 to 12 pages in length, with one of them being a little bit longer, I think like between 15 and 20 pages. And these short stories are kind of in between middle grade and young adult, I would say, in terms of content and age appropriate. There's a few descriptions of blood and gore and stuff that are a little bit reaching, something you wouldn't be likely to find in Goosebumps, but they're not quite into the YA territory, so they're kind of like in between a little bit. And right here I'll show you the table of contents real quick, the list of stories. So we have Pumpkinhead, Alien Candy, The Most Evil Sorcerer, Nightmare Inn, I'm Not Martin, The Black Mask, Afraid of Clowns, The Dead Body, Make Me a Witch, and The Ghostly Stare. So I actually finished reading this collection a while ago, and I'm just now getting around to doing a review of it. I've been a little bit busy lately, and I've also really not been reading very much at all lately. Just to kind of go off on a little ramble here quick. My Halloween readathon October TBR list is not doing so good. I'm not making a ton of progress. So, as you guys will probably see in the future with my wrap-up video, I'm definitely not reading all of the books that I had wanted to. But anyway, what's really cool about this book is there's illustrations as part of like the introduction to each story in this collection, and they're all illustrated by different people, and the illustrations are awesome in this book. Before I get into the actual stories and talking about them, I want to show you guys some of my favorite illustrations in this book. So this first one is pretty cool, and this is for the first story called Pumpkinhead. Hopefully, these pictures are kind of dark, so hopefully they come into focus fairly well. But yeah, that's the first one called Pumpkinhead. That one's pretty cool. Let me see. This is also one of my favorites. This one's kind of basic. It's just like a dark house with some creepy eyes peering at you from the top of the stairway. But I really like this one. It's pretty cool. Another really good one, this might be the best illustration, honestly, is Afraid of Clowns. There's just so much detail on these clowns. I don't want to bend the book too much and ruin the spine, but you kind of have to get a good look at the full illustration. So yeah, hopefully this is coming into focus, because if not, I'm bending the crap out of my book for no reason. Hopefully the lighting is okay. And then my favorite illustration, and probably also my favorite story, or one of my favorite stories, is the very last one, I think, or the second to the last story in this collection, Make Me a Witch. This illustration is freaking awesome. I absolutely love it. It's like this young girl staring up at the house, wondering what's going to await her, and then her shadow is on the wall, and it's like a witch, and her like hand is coming up with like claws as part of the shadow. It's just super, super cool. I absolutely love this. This is definitely my favorite illustration, I think. Alright, so anyway, let's get into the stories a little bit. So each story has a short introduction by the author, R.L. Stine, where he talks about what inspired him to write this story, or where the idea came from. And then we get into the short story, which, like I said, they're all about 8 to 12 pages in length. And it's kind of hard to talk about these stories very much without spoiling anything, so I'm not going to really go into detail with any of them. But the first story, Pumpkinhead, is about a few kids that go to a pumpkin patch on Halloween to get some pumpkins, of course. And the guy that owns the pumpkin patch is a very creepy old man, and there's a certain part of the pumpkin farm that he tells them not to go in. It's his private collection. And of course the kids are curious and want to check it out, and so they go there one night and they sneak in this like private forbidden section of the pumpkin farm, and what they discover there is something quite horrifying. Another story is called in here The Black Mask, where some kids are just hanging out in their basement and playing some old board games and going through some boxes. I believe they just moved into the house recently or something along those lines. And they discover a black mask, and when the kids put it on, they see like these visions or like ghosts of these other kids that are also in the basement playing these old board games and just doing different things, but they can't hear them or contact them in any way. It's just like this vision or these ghosts they're seeing. And the kids keep giving the mask back and forth and trying to figure out what's going on and why they're seeing this vision. And yeah. Again, it's kind of hard to talk about these stories too much without spoiling anything. They're very short, very brief stories. And a lot of the like punch of these stories kind of hinges on the twist endings. That's what these stories are about. I think the story that works best in here as a short story is one called I'm Not Martin. It feels the most complete and the most suitable for the length and storytelling, like the writing style of these. And it's about a kid who's going into a hospital just for something minor. I can't even remember, but it wasn't really a big deal. But he happens to be next to a kid. He's in the same room as a kid who's about to undergo surgery. And this story I am going to spoil. So if you wanted to read it, maybe skip ahead a couple minutes. But I'm going to spoil this one because this is a really good story. One of my favorites in the Nightmare Hour. And this kid he's in this hospital room with is about to undergo surgery. And the nurses and orderlies come in and tell him they're about to take him into surgery pretty soon. And this kid is like freaking out and screaming and saying, "You've got the wrong guy. I'm not him. I'm not Martin." That he's like, "That's not my real name. You're mistaking me for somebody else, you know." And then when the orderlies and the nurses leave and stuff, and this kid and then our main character are kind of talking about the situation a little bit. And the kid, at night, the kid sneaks up to the other kid's bedside and switches the, oh my God, what are they called? The paperworks or whatever on the clipboards, showing what their names are and all of their information and everything. That way they'll take the main character in for surgery instead. I forget his name. In case you guys haven't noticed, it has been a little while since I've read this, like I said. But anyway, and then the nurses and orderlies come in after that, and they look at the information, the clipboard at the end of the hospital bed, and then they start to take the main character back, and he starts freaking out and screaming, and it's like, I'm not the one supposed to undergo surgery. You've got the wrong guy. It's him over there. And then the nurses and the orderlies are like, they warned us about that. They've been saying that you've been lying and trying to get out of the surgery, so take them away. So it's kind of a funny and a little bit of a creepy story. I feel like it would be like a good campfire type story or one to tell to an audience or friends or something. It's a little bit funny and kind of creepy at the same time. So that was one of my favorites here in this collection. And then my two favorite stories in this one are Nightmare Inn and Make Me a Witch. The Nightmare Inn, I'll just say it involves werewolves. That should say enough. That's all I need to say for that one. It involves werewolves, so naturally, that one is one of my favorite stories. And then Make Me a Witch, I really like that story. That one is about a girl who is unhappy. I'm trying to remember it. It's about a girl who's unhappy with her family. She has a younger baby brother that's really bratty and cries all the time, and her parents don't give her attention anymore. And part of the reason I think I like this story is because it's a little bit deeper. It has some meaning to it, I think. And she discovers that there's this old woman that's a witch living in her neighborhood, and she goes to her to try to, kind of as like a genie type thing, where she tries to have her life changed, or she wants to become a witch or gain magical powers just so she can receive some more attention and make her life, improve her life, basically. But of course, with that comes consequences, major consequences, and I can't really talk about that story too much more without spoiling anything, but I really like that one because it felt a little bit deeper than some of these other stories that had a little bit more substance to it. And yeah, I just really enjoyed that story, but I did not like the ending of it. I will say that. The ending was a little bit disappointing, and it goes more towards the humorous route. The rest of the story was pretty serious, I think, but the ending just, I don't know, it just tries to be funny, and it doesn't fit the tone of the rest of the story, in my opinion. So yeah, But apart from that twist ending, Make Me a Witch was probably my favorite, or tied with Nightmare Inn, I would say. Nightmare Inn might be my favorite, actually. But yeah, those were my two favorite stories. But apart from those, I'm Not Martin was good. The Black Mask, that one was pretty decent. The rest of them weren't really anything special, to be honest. I mean, there's really nothing substantial here, nothing super innovative. There was one story in here, The Most Evil Sorcerer, and that one is very different. I will give R.L. Stine that for trying something a little bit different. It's a very, like, fantasy-oriented story. It's basically about this sorcerer that has all of these crazy powers, and he takes an apprentice and trains him up in the ways of sorcery, but he's very cruel to his apprentice. That story I enjoyed a little bit just because it was different. I've never read something quite like that from R.L. Stine before. Very different from his normal stuff that he writes, or what's typical of his writing style and stories. But I still didn't love it, and the whole Nightmare Hour collection, honestly, is just pretty mediocre, I think. Like I said, I really liked a couple of the stories, and then the rest weren't necessarily bad. There just wasn't anything special about them, and because they're so short, there's just not a lot to talk about. They're just really brief stories with twist endings that... that's all the stories rely upon, really, is the twist ending. So, yeah, overall, if I had to rate the entire collection of short stories, I would say maybe like 2.5 out of 5 stars. A couple of the stories might get like an individual 4 out of 5 stars, and then the rest would be like maybe 2 out of 5 stars or something, but I don't know. Like I said, in the near future, I will be reading and reviewing the second part of this book, The Haunting Hour, which was released a couple years after The Nightmare Hour. And I'm expecting them to be pretty similar. Hopefully I'll like the second one a little bit better, but we'll see. Anyways, guys, have you read this book? What are your thoughts on it? Please comment down below. And like I said, my October and Halloween readathon so far is really not going the best. I've just been in a little bit of a reading slump lately. I think I don't really like that term. I don't even know if it's accurate to say I'm in a reading slump, but I kind of am. I just haven't really been reading much and haven't been in the mood to sit down with a big novel or anything lately. So, but hopefully I'll have at least a couple more reviews out before Halloween, and then I can do my October reading wrap up at the end of this month or early in November sometime. But anyways, guys, let me know what you thought of this book down in the comments. And just to close, I'm going to give you a couple more really cool illustrations from this book. Let's see here. This one is from The Most Evil Sorcerer. It's pretty cool artwork. Like I said, all these illustrations are pretty cool. None of them are bad. And I like that they're all done by different people, too. It gives it a nice variety. I feel like it would be really dull just having the same person illustrate each one. And then, I can't remember if I showed this one or not. This is the one for I'm Not Martin. This one is really creepy. It's got, like, the hospital patient there with a baby doll for a head, and then he's holding a dismembered foot. And then there's a kid hiding underneath the table there, or the bed. It's very cool, very creepy. Love the illustrations in here. And like I said, the stories are okay too. Nothing super great. A couple of them I really like, but the rest are just kind of okay. But anyways, that's my review for R.L. Stine's The Nightmare Hour. Thanks for watching, guys, and have a great day.